Alright, so in this video, I'm going to be talking about how you guys can find your perfect 3PL to work with to scale your brand to over 100K a month, because I think that when it comes to actually building a real brand and you switch over from drop shipping, there's a lot of things logistics wise that you have to understand. That way you can automate it and you don't really have to be worrying about it every single day, 24/7. I'm going to explain to you guys which 3PLs are good, which ones to avoid, what to look for in a 3PL to be able to scale your brand past 6 figures a month. Just to clear things up, drop shipping is when you don't hold inventory. You don't have to drop ship from China, but a lot of people do drop ship from China. So I'll give you an example. I sell a product for 20 bucks. A customer buys from me. Then I go ahead and buy from the supplier and the supplier sends it to the customer. I only pay $5. Let's say my marketing cost is $5. I keep $10 in profit for that order. That's drop shipping. Now you could do branded drop shipping, meaning that you don't hold inventory, but you start customizing the box or customizing the product. Usually suppliers will have like MOQs, which is minimum order quantities, to be able to customize a product in the packaging. But the thing is that, like, if you want to start scaling very, very aggressively and you have a really good product and you want to build a real brand, you're going to have to start buying bulk and you're going to have to start ordering inventory. And in my opinion, I don't really recommend holding your inventory in China. There are good 3PL solutions in China, but I only recommend using a Chinese 3PL if you're going to be shipping worldwide. Now, if the majority of your customers are in the US or in a certain country, I would look into getting a 3PL in that country. I have my 3PL in the US and I currently work with ShipBob. This is like the 5th or 6th 3PL that I've been working with. In the very, very beginning, I didn't know anything about 3PLs, and I currently live in Florida. So I wanted to see if there was a 3PL by my area, just so that I could basically like maybe visit it and like have it be close to me. But to be honest, like, it doesn't matter if it's close to you or not. All you have to do is make sure that you have good communication. In my opinion, you have a good software that you're able to access like all of your information, like your order information, inventory orders, receiving orders, get all your analytics and stuff. That's why I really like ShipBob, because they have a lot of stuff to use to be able to track your inventory precisely. They even have an integration with Triple Whale. Triple Whale is like an analytics platform that I use to track all my numbers. So I definitely think that when you are looking for a 3PL, you want to make sure that they have great communication. That's my top priority. I want to be able to have either a Slack channel or a WhatsApp channel with them, an account representative that could answer my questions within at least 24 hours. I get that some 3PLs are not that big and they don't have enough resources to have account executives for every single customer, but I need to at least get a hold of somebody within 24 hours, because when it comes to logistics and when it comes to scaling, you need to be able to rely on 3PL to fix any type of issues that may arise, especially in Q4, because if you're scaling in Q4, which is October, November, December, you want to make sure that the logistics process goes smooth, and you don't want to have to worry about, are my orders getting shipped out right? Are they using the right packaging? Are they taking forever? Am I getting charged like a fuck ton of money for no reason? Like, your goal is not to hit them up every single day with a bunch of questions. Your goal is to set it up and just have communication with them if you need it, but you should not be talking to them every single day, because it should be pretty automated, in my opinion. I did mention that this is like my 5th or 6th 3PL. The story of how I got started with finding a really good 3PL was that I had to bring in inventory into the US because I did a Kickstarter in the very beginning of my brand, and I just had to hold inventory somewhere, and that way I could ship it out. I didn't really know what I was looking for. I just needed someone to hold and ship it out. As I went on and started working with different 3PLs, I realized that some of them had horrible communication. I couldn't get a hold of anybody. Some of them did not have dashboards that I could access my numbers just like this, how you're looking at your screen. And I definitely think that having a good dashboard, like I mentioned, is super important. You want to make sure that either you, your operations guy, or your VAs can come in here and do anything that they need. Create a receiving order, cancel an order, create a manual order, whatever it is that they need to do regarding logistics and, you know, your inventory, they should be able to do it on one dashboard. And I really, really like this dashboard because it's pretty simple. Another thing you should keep in mind when negotiating with a 3PL is that you want to make sure that you get the lowest fulfillment cost possible per order. Right now on your screen, you can see that my average fulfillment cost for the last 30 days is around $8.63. There have been other 3PLs that I have considered working with, and these are like one location 3PLs, meaning that they only have one warehouse. They don't have like over 15, 20 warehouses all over the US, because ShipBob has a good amount of warehouses, East Coast, West Coast, Central. They have a lot of locations, which I like, which I'm able to distribute inventory to then lower my average fulfillment cost, because when you distribute inventory, you get your zones down. But once you start learning about shipping, you're going to realize that there's zones. And for example, if I have an order in New Jersey and my warehouse is in New Jersey, that's going to to be zone 1. If I have an order in New Jersey, but my warehouse is in California, that's probably going to be zone 8. So the zones are relative to the location of the actual warehouse. So you want to make sure that once you start to scale, you look at the data, which I'll show you right now, my data for my brand, exactly where my orders are coming from. As you can see here, my top orders are coming from California, Texas, and Florida. Now that I know this data, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the warehouses that are near these states and distribute inventory. ShipBob has this program where you could deliver inventory to a hub. Not every single warehouse that they have is a hub. So one of their hubs is in California. I'm going to ship my next round of inventory to California, and they have this program where they could literally ship as many units as you want to other warehouses to then decrease your average fulfillment cost. So I'm going to ship my inventory to that hub, and they're going to disperse it to their Texas warehouse and their Georgia warehouse, which is the closest one to Florida. That way I know that my top 3 states are going to be getting a lower fulfillment cost. That way it's going to lower my average fulfillment cost. My goal is to get it down to like $7, $6.50, which is amazing. That's perfect. Like for me, like that is way more than enough. And I'm also getting a great software, and I'm also getting great communication. For me, that's a no-brainer, especially when I want to scale to like $500,000 to $1 million a month. A 3PL should not be on your biggest worries, because this is super simple. You set it up once, you send out inventory to the right locations, and it's just automated. Then you order more inventory, and you just keep looking at the data. It's nothing complicated. So when it comes to building a real brand, understanding how 3PLs and logistics works is super important. Now, one thing I will mention is that there are multiple parties involved when it comes to ordering inventory. Number 1, your manufacturer. Number 2 is your freight forwarder. If you're going to be shipping your inventory with a freight forwarder, I highly recommend using a freight forwarder because they will probably get cheaper prices than your manufacturer. I mean, your manufacturer will always try to make money off of you no matter what, even if they tell you they're not going to. So in my opinion, use a freight forwarder to ship your inventory from China or from wherever to the US if you're using the US to sell your product. So it'll be your manufacturer, your freight forwarder, and also your 3PL. You need to make sure that you communicate with these parties and they communicate with each other if necessary, because you can't have any type of miscommunication. Your manufacturer should be giving you a couple documents like your commercial invoice, your packing list. You take those documents, you give it to your freight forwarder. Your freight forwarder then calculates how many duties and taxes you're expected to pay once you import the product into the US. Right now, we're going through a tough time with tariffs. Like right now, it's April 9th, and Trump just imposed 125% tariff on China. I don't know if that's going to stay for a very long time. So we'll see what happens when I import the inventory into the US, because the tariffs are only applied to your inventory once they arrive into the US. Then you pay the tariffs and then they're released to your 3PL. So make sure that you give your freight forwarder as much to work with, because the more documents they have to work with, the less stress you're going to have, and they'll be able to take care of everything on their end. And then once your inventory arrives into the US and gets released by customs, then you need to make sure that your 3PL has an appointment set up. That way your freight forwarder can arrange a date and time to be able to unload your shipment to the 3PL. There's a lot of things involved when it comes to ordering inventory. Your very first round of inventory is going to be tough because you're not going to really know what to do. Do not order inventory in January or February if you're ordering from China, because that is Chinese New Year and you will pay a fuck ton of money in shipping costs that you do not need to pay for, probably 2 or 3 times the price. So make sure that you order outside of Q1. That way you get a regular price when it comes to shipping. And let's say you need your inventory faster, you could do half of it air, half of it sea. There's a lot of things when it comes to freight forwarding, but focusing on 3PLs, I recommend you use ShipBob. Hit them up, get a quote. If you're doing, let's say, 2,000 to 3,000 orders a month, you can negotiate to under $9 a unit. When it comes to fulfillment cost, as you saw earlier, I was paying under $9 a unit, but I had to negotiate pretty heavily in order to actually make sure that I got good prices for my inventory. But I think that making sure that you negotiate good, telling them that your main priority is communication, and that you also want access to all the data possible to be able to oversee everything and not just hand it off to them, because eventually you do want to hand it off to them, but you want to be able to see everything that they're doing and see all this data that's available to you. Make sure that when you're looking for a 3PL, I highly recommend ShipBob. You ask them these questions like communication, dashboards, anything that you may find relevant to you. Remember that this doesn't really have to be super complicated. Just understand that the more that you do it, the more that you go over it, the more that you look at it, eventually it's going to get easier. For me, I know exactly what I'm looking for now. It's going to take some time and experience. Order your first round of inventory, and then eventually you're going to get the ball rolling. I recommend you use ShipBob. Don't look for any other 3PL. ShipBob has great integrations with Amazon and TikTok Shop. So if you plan on selling on those platforms, it's just a no-brainer. Honestly, I really haven't had that many complaints. Obviously, there's a couple things that they may fuck up on sometimes. Like for example, Q4, they were shipping out my product in the wrong packaging, but I told them that and they actually reimbursed me money for that situation. So I definitely think that having that type of communication and them being truthful and honest with you, that's all you really want with a 3PL. You don't want to be worrying about it too much. But if you got value out of this video, just give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I'll see you guys on the next one.